Hi everyone, I'm Nicarra.
And I'm Brandon.
And welcome to But Make It Books.
A podcast where we are bookishly healing through life.
So as we start all things,
yeah,
check-in time.
Check-in time.
How you doing? How you feeling? What's up?
Oh man, I am good, blessed.
Okay, blessed and highly favored.
Busy. Breathing. That's
Deep
how I am.
Meditation breaths.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
To
I
the
love
core.
that.
To the core. Yeah. Lots of, lots of good things. Things you pray for, or, ask the universe for. And, here's the thing. What's wild is, when you ask the universe for things, it will always respond. You don't know what the response is, though.
True. Be careful what you ask for.
I don't think you should be careful what you ask for. I think you should be very adamant and intent about what you ask for. You should be absolutely also prepared to receive what you ask for.
Ooh.
I don't think you should be careful about what you ask for. You should absolutely ask for what your heart wants. The question is, can you receive it? That's what you should do. You should prepare yourself for that.
What if your heart isn't really ready to receive that?
This is why you need to focus on preparing your heart.
Right.
You know what I mean? Don't be careful. Just prepare yourself.
That's real.
Yeah. How about you? How you feeling?
I feel good too. Same, actually. Yeah. Breathing, blessed. It's given definitely meat meal. Like I used to pray for times like this to run like this, so I had to shine like this. So I had to grind like this. So I had to. Okay, I'm not going to go through the whole thing because I will. But a lot of things seeds that I planted in those early seasons before my Saturn return, and now my Saturn return is at its end. Is coming to its final end. There's a lot of things of like fruits of my labor that's like coming up, and I'm like, wow, this is happening.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for it. I'm very excited. I think like the breathing meditation, the high yoga we went to, it was just like really just like trying to be more centered within myself, and it's going well.
Yeah.
It's going well.
That's good. We love that for us. I love that for us, for sure.
We definitely do. We do love that.
Yeah.
So, today our episode is going to be focused on banned books. And this has been in the news so much recently. I mean, Florida's honestly just been in the news.
For centuries.
But there's more than just Florida. So, if you haven't been watching the news, currently H.R. 5, which is a bill, we'll link it in our synopsis below, which is called the Parents' Bill of Rights, that was introduced by Julia Letlow, a representative out in Louisiana, 5th Congressional District, and it has passed the House. So, according to PEN America USA, banned books occur in 138 school districts and 32 states. These districts represent about nearly 4 million students. Of the banned books that are banned, 674 banned books titles, 41%, explicitly address LGBTQ plus themes or have protagonists or predominantly secondarily characters who are LGBTQ plus. Of the 40%, 659 banned book titles contain protagonists or prominent secondary characters of color. 338 banned book titles, 21% of that banned book portion, where directly address issues of race and racism. The most banned book titles include, and not limited to, our beautiful queen, Toni Morrison, along with feature films, TV series, and it's actually interesting, and we'll drop the link below. PEN America actually identified about 50 groups operating on a national or state local level that has campaigned and mobilized around what they view as dangers of books in K through 12 schools. And of those 50 groups, 8 of them have regional and local chapters, and nearly number at least 300 total. And it's actually funny, of the national groups, Moms for Liberty formed in 2021 and has spread most broadly with 200 local chapters. And it's really funny because 70% of these banned book folks actually have just been founded since 2021. And it's really interesting. So with hearing all of that, in the books that are banned, well, we'll discuss the books that are banned. A little icebreaker is, what book that isn't banned that should be banned?
You know, and I've been trying to process this because it's like, am I going to sound like the diplomat here?
Yeah.
But like, I do genuinely feel as though the whole banning process should be banned.
I agree.
Like,
we're on the same page.
You know what I mean?
You're about to say everything I'm about to say.
I mean,
I don't think any book should be banned.
Because it's all important. It's all... I had to read Uncle Tom's Cabin. But then I also had to read The Souls of Black Folks.
Right.
I think that critical analysis, I think that access to literature, period, to history, to information, to data, to people, is a necessary part of growing.
I agree.
And living.
I agree. I don't think we'll ever move forward as like a country or a nation if we just don't address the things that have happened in this country, in this nation, like eugenics. At first I was going to say anything to do with eugenics needs to be banned. And I'm like, you know what? Actually, no. Because that gives us more of a breadth and understanding about like, how did we get here as a country? How do we learn from the mistakes? Like, I have this joke with my friends that's like really actually not a joke, that everything in this country like really actually stems from slavery. And it's not like ha ha ha, because it's like we make light of these things, but it's actually so true. And if we ban things, the way people think, the way people have thought, it really does inform us. And I think that actually like silos us and doesn't allow for healing, learning, and discussion. And we've turned into this place of a country where it's like, if you have this opinion, it's done.
Yeah.
Versus like, how can I educate you? But let's be clear, Google is also free.
Yeah.
But how can I illuminate your thinking by giving you other books to think about and read and digest? And at that same token, you can also give me some books that I can think about, and I can debunk everything that's in your book. Or I can say there were points that were made, and I understand how you could get to this conclusion, but like you're still like not all the way there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I think it's... And I feel like that's because like you're still not all the way there to their point as well, you know what I mean? And I think that banter, that discourse is very healthy, very necessary. Something that I always, especially recently, have been going back to. It's like, as we get flustered, as we get into the height of our emotions, what is the core here? Right? What are we all trying to achieve?
Yeah.
Like what is the thing that we all agree with? Yeah. And as we think about like Moms for Liberty and like a lot of these other bands or what have you, a lot of it goes to often the children. And like
the indoctrination of children.
And then if you go if you go into the layers of that statement and you think about how many adults are also children.
Isn't that a ministry in a word?
So I'm thinking about, are you protecting your offspring or are you protecting yourself?
I think it's protecting yourself because I think it's uncomfortable. And nobody likes to be uncomfortable. And I think that yeah. I think no one likes to be uncomfortable on the baseline.
Yeah.
But I think that as a critical thinker, it's okay to be uncomfortable. You know, sometimes if discomfort can probably lead to a branching out and a learning and a maybe a renaissance within yourself. Yeah. That can be a beautiful thing. But think about even like questioning your parents or questioning people in your family. That authority questioning is uncomfortable. And as we talked about before, when we talk about survival or generational breaking, you know, that's uncomfortable. Yeah. And you're gonna get pushback from that. So the indoctrinating of children, I think children just don't have any concept. They play with anything. They play with a box. You know, they don't have they don't have these human tropes and these societal pressures. They're just kids. So I think it's perfect that we allow them to be as free as they can be. Yeah. And it was actually interesting. I forgot to highlight this too, and I was just thinking about it. You know, I just said before we were talking about Florida. However, I think people will be very surprised on where the top book banning actually occurs. And I was looking it up. It's the 3 states are, of course, first Texas, then Florida, but then Pennsylvania. There's a longer list, and I'll definitely drop the link because it's very illuminating. But I think we think about sometimes book banning only happens in the South, but like let's not forget, like the North was also complicit.
Yeah, I mean, and that's right there. It's history. It's like, you know, it's a greater good conversation, but then there's a conversation that conversation is like, what is the greater good? Who determines what the greater good is? Right? Because don't forget, Abe Lincoln was not the savior we thought. That was a business decision.
That was a business.
You know what I mean?
Look, if you're ready to shake the table, actually, Ulysses S. Grant is one of my favorite presidents.
Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting.
Yes, because he actually established the Justice Department. And the thing is with Ulysses, he just trusted the wrong goddamn on people. He did. He just trusted the wrong people. But his intentions were completely pure in the sense of like he is trying to figure out something to work. But everyone around him like made everything bad. But people don't know that. Like he actually was the one who established the Justice Department. But he was like one of the biggest champions of like a lot of reform within the American political system. If no one wants to read the very long book, Grant, because it's long. However, there is a History Channel doc on it that details Ulysses as Grant's presidency, his life. And like, he's not scotch-free. He definitely owned slaves. But, you know.
That's why I'm like, in my head, I'm like.
But like, I'm not hearing a cape for that. But there are other things that he has done in his career that is way better than Abraham Lincoln. That we try to make him the savior.
If we want to be,
if you want to try to make somebody like a savior of the black folks, it ain't him. Yeah.
And it because, you know, we're now talking about we're rewriting history every day, right? Because we also talked about
Rosa Parks.
So it's like, you know, that could work 2 ways. Like we could, if you guys need a savior, I don't mean to be an ass. I don't mean to laugh at that. But if you need that, fine. Nicarra just provided another option for you. One that's actually historically more accurate. Problem is you want to ban the information and all of that because it actually did do some real progress for this country in this narrative particularly. Now, the progress that you're interested in is the narrative that changes what happened with Rosa Parks and how it wasn't the color thing. It was about her being in the wrong section.
Seat. Right, because her ticket didn't, on the bus. Because I didn't know we had ticket seated for buses.
For buses.
Oh, no, because she was in the white only section.
But no, she was just in the wrong section.
No, she was in the wrong section.
Yeah, she was just in the wrong section. There is no white only section.
No. How could we?
Her seat said she was supposed to be here. She was sitting in the wrong seat. You know, this is not, apparently we're not talking about the megabus or the Greyhound. Apparently that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about the local, the local 83. You know what I mean? We're not talking about, I'm going to stop. Yeah. I'm just, it's like, point is the banning of the information, the rewriting of history.
Yes.
Because you want it to fit a specific indoctrination.
Yeah.
And this is a very Christian-based, very patriarchal-based, very white gaze-based doctrination. Why are we still at the point when there's a list of over 40% being LGBT, over 40% having POC, over 20% dealing specifically with racism and so forth? We have a list with all these percentages that discuss a massive list of all the books that you've been banning in order to protect your children and so forth. Meanwhile, your children
are getting shot in schools.
And also widely representative of a lot of these things, right? You have children that are afraid to come out to you because you are banning these books. You have a child that you adopted from a country, but their skin was fair enough so you can pass them off or you can acknowledge that not what have you. You yourself are the left progressivist, so you feel good about banning this book about racism because you support so many others. Whatever it is, you self-validated somewhere in your process, and the validation you've received has been through the history of this country, which we all know is toxic and jacked up as all.
I definitely just saw a tweet recently that was like, oh, you guys want to arm teachers, but you won't even let us pick the books we want to teach. And it's like, you think arming teachers is going to be the catalyst to like protect your kids, and it's like, but the books are the problem. But we just had another shooting in Nashville. That's disgusting. Mm-hmm. How is it easier to ban paper, literal paper, but not an assault weapon in schools? It's crazy to me. It's literally nuts. And then now they're also in the Parent Bill of Rights. I did not highlight this. They also have it where teachers are not allowed to use the kids' preferred pronouns without letting the parents know first. And it's like, well, what if they can't find the shelter they need and home, but they find it in school with the teachers and all of those types of things, and now they just feel so crazy. And now as we move into, we've been talking about the topic, but I think it's very interesting. In our first podcast episode, we actually highlighted some of the books that we love. Mm-hmm. Most of our books were banned, if not all. Mm-hmm. Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry, mm-hmm. The Giver is banned.
The Fire, Next Time.
The Bluest Eye is one of the 1984 is actually one of the most banned books in the in the United States. Children books that are banned: The Giving Tree, Hop on Pop, Julian is a Mermaid.
Yeah, Julian is a Mermaid. What was the other Dr. Seuss?
This is becoming one of the most banned books too. All the Boys Aren't Blue.
All Boys Aren't Blue. Yeah, this is one of my favorite. I mean, I'm a memoir dude. I'm very excited about our memoir, whatever. But like, this is like, George. I was privileged to be able to talk to them when they through an interview with CCB a year ago, maybe, I don't know, but it's so interesting. Terrell McCraney, let me take a step back. When Terrell McCraney wrote or produced with Barry Jenkins Moonlight, I had a massive moment because I had a very, very, very real moment that was very much on screen for me. It was the scene with the textbook, and spoiler, just watch the damn thing. It's one of the movies I've only been able to watch 2 times because I had such a reaction to it because it's so much a part.
I've had movies like that too.
It's just I can't watch it too many times. You know what I mean? I really can't. But it hit. It hit, and I felt very much way about his book, about this book right here, about All Boys Aren't Blue. Like, and there wasn't. I enjoy things about like their education background because they also went to Richmond for school, but they also grew up around in a maternal household. So I grew up in a maternal household, black. Yeah, I mean, just so many different parallels that I could create or whatever. But there was something about. I wish YA should be for everybody. This is technically a YA memoir, so I'm learning now as a reader more. There's YA is for everybody.
It is.
But like
With the Fire on High, it's like a YA novel.
Exactly. Should read. It's oh my god, I love it. With the Fire on High. It's so good, so good. But to that point about my comment about, how many adults are still children in some ways or what have you. This definitely spoke to like to young B. Like it definitely like.
Your inner child work.
You know what I mean?
It's giving really an unprison moment.
Absolutely. Which I still need to.
You need to watch.
I will. I absolutely will.
So good.
I absolutely will get into Unprison. But like, why are we banning someone's personal experience? Like, like especially like in a memoir. Like that's someone's personal experience. You're banning them. You're literally banning them. You're banning their life.
As this challenges American patriarchal structures.
Yeah. But also, like, do you understand that what you're being challenged by is literally just someone else's existence?
Life? Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Like, I mean, like, not hubris, like, it's like, that's like, how do you feel about the fact that literally one person that you'll never met, never speak to, never nothing, you're like, oh, you are banned. Yes. You're, no, not your book, because this is a memoir.
Yes. Yeah. Now, I think about that often. There's a lot of memoirs that I'm just like, wow, you're banning someone's life. You're saying you don't exist. The audacity
of that.
They're like, oh, drag queens. Oh, ban everyone.
I'm a little hot. I know. It's just so, it's...
Like the fact
who
that...
Who are you?
Yeah. They even banned Michelle Obama.
Becoming.
Which is crazy. Again... Banning a person's experience is nuts. Which is also saying, like, You therefore, me banning you means that you don't exist. You don't have a place in this society. You're abnormal. You're not.
So 40% of people do not live here.
Yes.
40% of people in LGBT do not exist. 40% of people that are not white do not exist. Mm-hmm. Racism does not exist.
Because you're making someone feel bad for their existence. You're challenging the norm. I
love Kool-Aid, but keep that away from me. I ain't drinking it.
I don't like that type of Kool-Aid.
I ain't drinking that. I don't, it's, let's have a breath.
Meditation breath?
Because it's just...
It's like... I think about it often when I think about banned books, and what you're creating is like a sense of unhealed people. To go around and be unhealed and hurt other people because they will not ever live their true authentic selves, and then that comes out in aggression, that comes out in subjugation, it comes out in many ways, abuse, and I just want everyone to be healed, and I think books provide that. It makes you feel like you're not alone. Yeah. It feels like, there's other people who are like you. Like, the Bluest Eye probably strikes me the most because I never wanted to be necessarily white per se, but I did always want, like, my hair texture to be a certain way or my skin. The funny thing is I always want to be darker a little bit like my mother. But I did want my hair to, like, kind of, like, that was the biggest thing. Like, my hair just not... But once I started loving me...
We'll certainly have to do, like, a black hair moment. Because I think that's a big thing. Because it's, like... I think that's... I personally have also never had that moment of, like, wanting to be anything other than black. Yeah. But, like... I've engaged with, spoken with, dated, whatever. So many people that have had some variation of that experience. And... even in my nappiest, buckshotted, BDB version, I've just always been grateful for that kinkiness. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, and so it's so. I think that's why it hit me with Nikole in the Bluest Eye, because I was like, I definitely understand and see why you couldn't believe this way. Like, it's.
And it drives you crazy.
This it's interesting. I spoke with Reggie Bailey recently. He said a lot of people start Toni Morrison with Beloved. But if you start maybe with something like The Bluest Eye, you might not be so what about Toni Morrison. And I definitely have another book that I would say go for start with, but I absolutely agree with him in the sense that I think The Bluest Eye is very clean cut narrative that speaks a narrative but also holds another one accountable. And I think that is one of the largest that's one of the largest parts. Yeah. One of the reasons I feel like that's one of the largest parts of its banning. It's like we're okay with abuse in black homes about a black child being neglected, all these things or whatever, all the things that unfortunately Nikole experiences in The Bluest Eye, but the fact that she desires another world that is not accessible to her, we need to cut that off. Not attainable to her. We need to cut that off, and we need to not have any other child feel and think.
And it's not even just that. It's also kind of creating for her community, too, in that book. Like, pushing that narrative, too. Like, oh, you guys used her. Yeah. And the usage of her is also the uplift of others in the community. Who ready to have that conversation?
I mean, nobody.
Nobody wants to talk about colorism.
And then here's the so okay, let's go here because this one is pretty
and I told
pretty recent, pretty new, very triggering for a lot of specifically black people in the world, but it is very much a today thing. Yes. The Hate You Give by Angie has also been banned because it deals with police brutality. We've been in a very, very, very specific police brutality movement. Yes. Lately. And so that's why this was like, oh, well, ban that. They were like, well, that's done. That's dead. Yeah. And things like that. And I think that's why it was like,
Because let's be clear about police brutality. It's not just about white cops beating up black bodies, right? Yeah. I'm talking about all of y'all. That means black cops. That means Latino cops. That means Asian cops. That means whoever, okay? It's everybody can get this smoke. Police brutality or police, essentially, Like, we know it's an indoctrination in there. Everybody bleeds blue. Mm-hmm. Nobody bleeds red. Everybody mm-hmm. bleeds blue. Mm-hmm. And I think it's crazy to me that police don't live in the communities that they police. They go home after they did whatever they did, and they go home, but no one's holding them accountable. That's why I love the show Lincoln Heights.
Oh, okay.
That got canceled so much too soon.
I didn't catch that one.
Oh my gosh. It was this police officer who lived in the community, and his daughter went to school in the community. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so it's just very, and he's a black cop. Mm-hmm. And it's very interesting to see.
And it was like it was a positive moment? Or
it was more of a like, yes, he dealt with all the things that could come with his family living in this community. His wife didn't really want to live in the community, mm-hmm. those kind of things, and she wanted to protect her kids. But it was beautiful to see like this be a show. Mm-hmm. Highly recommend. It's on Hulu right now, so you can definitely watch.
So it's interesting. Just played whatever. I also recommend the show on Hulu, Snowfall.
Oh, that is my show.
Because in the first couple seasons, there's a relationship.
Shouts to Damson. I know you with Lori,
there's a scene with there's a black cop that has a daughter and they live in the community. Yes. And that plays out how it does, but it's and it's so interesting because you're at odds, because you know that Franklin Saint is nah. But at the same time, you're looking at Andre, this black cop, who is
not all that great either.
Not all that great. He's trying, but he's also not all that great. And
he's
so
human.
He's human, right? You know what I mean? And so it's just interesting. I don't know. When you talk about these moments, it's like, we talk about moments where we get to like look at the humanity of everyone involved in that type of situation. In this book, you've got the student protesters, you've got the black life, you've got the cop lives, you've got the teacher trying to do better, you've got the black teacher trying to do better, you got the white teacher trying to do better. You got so much ground coverage in this one book. And I feel like even that, like coverage, access, is a big part of why we ban books. This does not hide from anything, the hate you give. It's very clear, very straight, very cut and dry. Mm-hmm. In a lot of ways, it's like, oh, we're going here for a moment. I didn't expect this moment of joy or this moment of whatever. But otherwise, it's very straight up. And I feel like that's a big part of why it's like,
no.
Oh, no.
No.
You know what I mean? It's
throw
like,
her away.
Throw her away, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so it is very interesting to see.
Yeah.
And we already know 1619.
Yeah, 1619. I mean, 1619 Project, that's also like that's like
on,
I mean,
like clearly you gonna get banned, girl. It's giving dub.
Right. I mean, yeah, 1619 Project was unfortunately like an immediate ban. And that's, I mean, again, the racism factor, we don't like to talk about it. And, she talks about it so specifically. Mm-hmm. She breaks it down beyond just it's structure. The topical, it's music, it's sugar.
Yes.
It's traffic.
Yep.
It's the practices of life today.
We live in Baltimore. The highway to nowhere was created by Robert Moses, who was one of the most racist infrastructure builders in the United States. If you guys know about Jones Falls Bridge in upstate, in New York and Long Island, they clearly kept the buses. They built the highway so buses could not go under the underpasses to go to these certain beaches. So they kept them white only. Yeah. The highway to nowhere in Baltimore literally cut through a robust, blooming black neighborhood, which is Harlem Park, which is up the street from here. And we see that Atlanta traffic. You ever been in Atlanta? So bad racism.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
and it's
really.
like, these are, when we talk about racism, I don't want it to ever cope, this is what I'm talking about, racism.
Yeah.
We're talking about education system. We're talking about sugar. We're talking about
medicine.
Farming.
We're talking about farming. I mean, that's one of my favorite things, and it reads in not passages, but sections, like vignettes almost. It's like
voting. Even back then, Charles Johnson had land, and they made it so that you could only be a landowner to vote. Okay, well, he owned land. No, now this person wants his land now. So now it's not just land now, it's a white land owner. And she details this very clearly in the book. What changes? How does it change? Where does it make sense? So
what is this? What do you think it is? So it's let's get to the root a little bit. Why? What is it that why are we, power. I say we,
I already know where you're going.
Or what have you, but it's why do we want to ban everything? Why do we want to put everything away and hide it?
Power. That's all it is. It's about power. Who controls information? Who gets to disseminate information? The winners go to spoilers, right? Like, and the fact that now it's a political issue is just crazy to me. And they're making it seem like a parent's right. And it's like, obviously parents do have rights, right? Like, you should have, in some ways, because some parents are problematic. And as we just said, parents are, adults sometimes are kids. I think it's just about power. We're challenging the straight, hetero, white, patriarchal, rich norm. And what I mean by that is, I'm not talking about, people who are in the working class. I'm talking about the elite. I'm talking about white men who have gotten to this pinnacle in their career, people who are in charge of Walmart, people like those types of folks. They do not want, they say, by 2050, it's about to be like mostly black and brown people. How do we keep these people still disenfranchised? How do we make sure they do not also team up with white working class folks to also take down this idea that they are of power? Because think about it, union busting, whenever black farmers used to get together, white farmers, they busted that up real quick. And I think once they realized in America, and I think they already do realize this, is that when we all come together and we realize it's eat the rich, because that's really what it boils down to. Nobody should have this much wealth. That's crazy.
It's true.
There should be no homeless people in America. That's crazy.
I mean,
there should be no homeless vets in America. You done sold us the dream that we should be giving, that vets should, they go and fight for their country. It's an honor. But when they come here, they have nowhere to live, nowhere to eat, no medical services. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say...
What do you think it is?
I would say control.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has had some level of power / has some level of power. Mm-hmm. The growth of that power is the thing that's fearful, a base for a lot of people. And so, therefore, they have to... Sometimes it's less about having or control or like having the power and like who has the power. Because the thing is, I feel like anyone non-black is not unintelligent enough to know that black people think that black people don't have power. I think they know that we have power. I think they want to figure out how they can manage, how they can control, how they can, what they can do with that power. So I feel as though
that's real.
For me, it's like they act like you don't have that you are absent of power, but they know you do. That's why they're scared.
It's like the
Wu-Tang
episode.
Yes, I know exactly.
Yes,
yes. Another great Hulu. Hulu got the hits.
Hulu
got the hits. Like Hulu got the hits. Let me find out for real.
Got that Pop Smoke.
Yeah, I'm saying, for real. But like, no, I'm saying because it's like, it's like I think it's just like they know that the power is there, but give it to me.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's like,
I mold your power.
You know what I mean? So for me, I think it's control. Because that's all it's like, because even into the parents. Parents control. How many of us grew up in I'm the parent, you the child?
Ooh.
That's control.
That's another episode.
Oh, that's 5 episodes.
Yeah.
So like, it's like, and so for me, that's...
Because children have rights.
That's what it's about,
Because children have rights.
Guess what, everybody? Children are humans. Children are people.
And they have rights.
Doesn't matter their age. They're people.
Come on now. They have thoughts.
If you can't accept that, don't have them.
Oh.
So with that,
we gonna end on spice.
Do you have I have a thought or a question or what's your
okay.
What do you want to do?
No, you do it.
What's one banned book that everybody should read? Yeah, cool.
Hood Feminism.
Gotcha.
Hood Feminism by Mikki, Kendall. Cause it challenged me and it called me out. And it had me look at my privilege. And we talked about this when we were doing our little hookah session. And I do always have to check my privilege. That's a constant for me.
Same. Yeah.
Because I understand I'm very, very blessed, and I know a lot of people aren't. And so how can I use my point of privilege to advocate for those who do not have that privilege? So hood feminism for sure. Yeah. What about you?
I am going to cheat again because I've already discussed mine a little bit, okay. But it's okay because I just want to stress the emphasis that George M. Johnson has been very vulnerable and is currently being very much challenged. They're handling it with such grace and aplomb. we stand like, you know, it's
we,
you know,
we stand a gracious person.
You know,
I ain't got there yet. God working on me.
Yeah. Very simplistic telling of a very complex person's story of how they just came to be in peace with their blackness, their queerness, with their gender identity and expression, and beyond.
Amen.
Please pass it off to a young black...
Any child,
but I specifically young black male presenting figure. This could be very helpful because I think that it gets lost. I think a lot of part of why it gets banned is because it does delve a lot into the queer identity, which, you know, we're a very homophobic country here, unfortunately. Yes. But I feel like every young black boy could grow something from this, and I'm gonna put it down. Real
quick, because I know we're coming up, but I also think that the control of the black queer community is something to pay attention to, because most movements of progressive power and actual change always comes through the queer black and brown community. Yeah. Marsha P. Johnson threw the first stone.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So
the black women also did the first union strike in Atlanta, washerwoman. So washerwoman.
So
that's us. That's the pod.
Woo!
We did unpack a lot, today. We gonna have to meditate after this.
I'm gonna have to go for a walk. Just some air or whatever. But I'm glad we did it because it's like, you know, it's a very ridiculous thing.
Yes.
It's a very ridiculous thing, and I hope that everyone gathers that from this conversation. We appreciate y'all for listening and tuning in once again. Please like, comment, share. Please rate, you know, tell us what you think, because it is, you know, we very much enjoy this and we're very much going to continue, but we very much would love to get episodes like this, especially out to the people who really need to hear it. That way they can gather even more information, because it's not like it's not there, about why this matters and why the nonsensical moves have to end. Yeah. Especially around literature. So...
You know, but Making Books is a people power movement, so we only grow as much as you allow us to grow. So we appreciate everyone. Make sure you come into Charm City Books and get the books that we've also described here in Baltimore, Maryland. Come say hi. You saw Lou in the camera, so come say hi to Lou. Make sure you follow us on all platforms on IG, But Making Books Pod, Nicarra's Book Club, Be Read Books, Charm City Books. Shop Dogs on duty, so you can see more of these little cuties. But we'll check you guys out next time. And of course, I am Nicarra.
And I'm Brandon.
And peace, y'all.
Thanks, y'all. Keep healing bookishly through life.
Amen. And pass the biscuits.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for listening. Make sure you keep up with us on all of our social platforms, at Charm City Books, at Be Read Books, at Nicarra's Book Club, and of course, make sure you follow us, But Making Books Pod. We can only grow as much as you allow us to. We're a people power movement, so make sure you like, share, subscribe, and rate us on anywhere you get your podcast. Also, make sure you come into Charm City Books and get all the books we've been discussing. And as always, make sure you're healing, but make it books. Peace, y'all.